I decided to make a quick video on something here. A friend of mine brought over his John Deere tractor, his 1025r. I'm not familiar with these at all, but what he has is you need a little bit of welding done to it. The part that lowers down the deck, I guess you can release something and back off of them and then pull back on them. I'm not real sure. But the area where it goes on over a 3/4 rod, right here, these holes are walled out from wearing on top of the rod. You can feel an edge on it right here. He wants me to build this up with weld and grind it all out on both of them. I think it's especially this one right here. It's just walled out too bad. So I'm gonna take some weld, fill it in, grind it down, and get that hole closed back up a little bit for it. Now the 3/4 rod, I'm sorry about that. The 3/4 rod that went through it is right here on this bracket. This mounts up onto the frame with pins. And back here is what goes into those slots I was talking about. And if you can see, this 3/4 rod is wore way down really bad on both sides. So he wanted me to weld this up and grind it down to build it back up, but I said it'd be best if we could just replace this whole rod. So this is a 3/4 rod. It's 22 inches long. It's welded on the insides right here. So I'm gonna cut these welds off. I've already measured the exact measurement that it needs to be, because it needs to be precise, and I may even put it back on before I tack this rod in. But I'm gonna grind all these welds off, take this rod out and put a new rod in, and measure everything and get the exact distance everything is and make it look exactly like that. So we're gonna try that out and try to get him back out in the yard here. All right, I got this up on jack stands. Now the first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go ahead and get my grinder and die grinder and clean all this paint off of all this right here so I can get some weld on there. So let's get that done. You can see there that I went ahead and built up the weld everywhere, closed the hole up, and I went ahead and ground the sides of it down. What I'm gonna do now is take my die grinder now, and I'm going to round these holes into where it's about 7/8 around. It'll have a 3/4 rod going through it. So if we make them about 7/8, that'll be about a 1/16 inch of play. So the rod will go in and out easy. So that's what I'm gonna do next. All right, finally all done building up the welds and grinding everything out to the proper size for a 3/4 rod to go in with not a whole lot of slop. I just needed it to go in on each side and push in. There's not much slop at all now, and these come up to where they lock the rod in now, so that should be good to go. So now I just need to take this 3/4 rod and cut it down to what the other one is, which is 22 inches, and get ready to get it put in. You saw I got the rod cleaned up and ground down on the ends, cleaned it up a little bit. Next up, what I'm gonna do, put this in the vise. I'm gonna take a cutting wheel and cut all these welds on both sides, all the way around, so I can get this rod out of here. Then I'll have to center everything back up whenever I put it all back together. I have to get the right measurements between here and here, and up here and over here. So let's get a cutting wheel after this and start getting this 3/4 rod out of here. I thought it would be easier to just go ahead and just cut the rod completely out instead of just trying to grind the welds down and pull the rod out of it. So I just cut the rod out of it. What I'll do is I'll grind this down here and knock out what's left in it on both of them. And then I'll put the new rod in it, line everything up, tack it in, make sure everything fits. I got the 3/4 rod through the mounts. I've got everything sitting on the table where it's gonna go. I have all my measurements. I need to measure here to here on the inside and here to here on the inside. And also I need to make sure I have the right measurement of the rod sticking out right here, which if I get these two measurements right, that should be fine. I'll just center the rod up and I think it sticks out about a little over an inch. So let's get all that lined up together and tacked in. Okay, I got it lined up in here. I got the measurements right, but what I want to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to bolt it up with the pins up underneath the tractor just to make sure everything lines up. I may have to do some tweaking around on these a little bit, I'm not sure. So I'm going to go ahead and put the pins in, mount it up underneath there, and see if everything lines up. I'm going to go from there. And then what I'll do is I'll take it back out, come out here and weld it all solid and get ready to put it back in. All right, we got the 3/4 rod welded in solid, and there was also a plate right here I had to put on that I had to measure over to put it where it goes. I'm not sure what it does, but we got everything welded on. Now all we got to do is bolt it up inside there and make sure everything lines up and make sure the deck will go on it. So let's try that out next. All right, here it is all back together now. As you can see, this is the piece I was working with. Got some brackets I had to put back on right here. Actually, should have taken a picture of it all first. I had to figure it out. These are pinned up here, so all this lines up really good against the frame. So that worked out pretty good. My only concern now, I'll just have to see, is how this right here lines up with the shaft once you pull the tractor up over the deck to hook it back up. I had to weld a plate on the bottom of this rod underneath here And I'm not so sure I got that in the exact spot. I may have to weld another little piece to it to lengthen this bolt out a little bit longer. And it goes against the metal piece right there. As you can see, a little plate welded on. I have to add a little plate to that maybe, I don't know. I'm going to have to pull it up over the deck and see how the shaft lines up. Other than that, everything pretty good. All works good and free. So it's all good for now. Okay, it's the next morning. The guy's on his way now to pick it up. I've got it ready for him to pull up on it and see if everything hooks up. I told him my only concern now that I might have to do some adjusting on would be the part that goes up over this shaft. I have to make sure it lines up good. I know there's a bolt on there. You can see it right there, that long bolt. That's an adjustable bolt right there with jam nuts on it that goes against the plate, and probably I think that's what sets the angle of that to go onto that shaft. So he's gonna come over and pull it up on there and see if it'll all line up. We'll go from there, and then it can be on its way. All right, everything's working good, adjusted right, it's going home. Thank you all for watching again. I sure appreciate it. If you don't mind, hit that subscribe button. We'll have a lot more in the future. Take care.